please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. Hong Kong market is now surging. In fact, 350 point higher now on Hang Seng Index. So let's see, Shanghai is up about 2%. SGX Nifty still indicating that we'll have a bit of a weak start. Let's see how that pans out. Prakash Diwan is with us now. Prakash, good morning. Your thoughts first on NALCO and HINDALCO. If there's a gap down, do you buy it? Do you wait for prices to fall further? How to approach these stocks now?
So, Anuj, the fact that aluminum prices were behaving as if, they were equity prices on the commodity side itself was a precursor to this kind of volatility in stocks. And my sense is the volatility will continue for a while because it's completely based on a lot of premise of news flow, which is related to some of the largest players. So I think you'll have to give it some time before you really start buying into anything. And even if you were to buy into something, it has to be HINDALCO. I'm not too particularly keen on buying NALCO because the risk in terms of a primary manufacturer is always higher. HINDALCO would have more sum of parts coming to its rescue, just not aluminum prices. So I think that's going to be a safer bet going forward. So it would definitely be either HINDALCO or Vedanta, but not NALCO for sure.
Okay. Anuj, just to get back to your original point about Asia, my own sense is that there is no way India cannot participate in the global growth story. So, even I was under the impression that today the greens will overcome the reds because, as you said, domestic consumption as well as global facing stocks should do well. Prakash, your view on that? Okay, maybe we'll do one thing. I'll come to you in just a minute because we are, very close to the market opening and maybe just want to see where the rupee, the bonds, as well as stocks open. My own sense is we just have to follow the global story and celebrate the growth rather than just worry about inflation. Those crude and higher yields will be overcome by growth if, of course, growth chimes in. At the moment, the first start is red, though, but very mildly, just about 3 points lower, and that's fast getting into green terrain as far as the indices are concerned. It'll be interesting to see where the rupee starts as well. 66.48, I think, when we went to bed, and it'll be interesting to see where that happens.
Slightly strong.
Okay, so not, just waiting for the rupee line to hit the screen. And there it comes. Okay, slightly stronger. But yesterday, actually, in the last 5-10 minutes or so, we saw this sharp jump towards 48. So some of it is coming off. But rupee will be under pressure given the strength of the dollar and the strength of crude prices as well. The early indications on the stock market, however, are still, well, now it's turned to green. Sensex actually is very green, but it may not happen that way. GNFC is starting with 6% in terms of gains because of its numbers. But
in fact, it is a lot of result reaction. So you mentioned GNFC. The other one is Bharat Financial. That one too in pre-opening has a really good tick going for itself. Let's see how that adjusts. For now, it's okay. Now down about 1.5%. Swaraj Engines, Delta Corp, or a couple of other numbers that were looking pretty good this time. And you also have, a couple of these names like Cholamandalam that have looked good from yesterday. So keep an eye out on that as well. Prakash, hi, morning. Wanted to get some thoughts in on numbers. Delta Corp, what did you make of the earnings? And if someone's perhaps, missed out on this rally so far till 300, is it still worth a buy?
Well, I think more the reason to buy now because given the triggers that are in the offering for the gaming industry as a whole, I think the smaller casinos are going to find it very difficult to survive. I mean, when you don't have economies of scale and you can't defray your fixed costs, on a smaller base, it's going to be difficult because of the kind of burden on licensing going up. So I think Delta Corp has seen all that belt tightening in this particular quarter. So the numbers were not spectacular, but they were not bad at all. So I think if somebody has to buy in, this is probably the time. But give it 2-3 years. This is not a quarter-on-quarter kind of a stock, Sonia. But given the kind of trend that's emerging in gaming, I think this has all engines firing eventually, and that's going to contribute a much more healthier bottom line to this business.
Okay, well, I think we're getting the first bond yield as well, and that is 7.75. Yesterday we closed at 7.74, so not a surprise at all with the way US yields and crude have trended. Prakash, on that note, NBFCs, we saw some spectacular numbers coming in from Cholamandalam. And, you know, even Indiabulls Housing, the excellent growth of AUMs. We have Santosh Singh also joining us. But first to you, your pick of the pack.
No, so I think I would still go with the vehicle financing guys. I think MFI will take a little bit of more time because of the competitive intensity that is going to emerge there. You have too many players, even in the unlisted space, that are vying for the same market growth. But I think the vehicle financing business is really taking off in a very significant way. So STCI, Sriram Transport Corporation, that is one of the best play right now, according to me. And if you were to look at something else, Indiabulls Housing Finance continues to be one of the best plays in the housing finance space, Lata. So, these two categories is what I would put my money into. Okay,
Ujjivan, by the way, is showing 10% downtick in pre-open. The CEO going, I don't know if this is how it will play out, but 10% lower is what we have on Ujjivan. So let's see. For now, NALCO is down about 7%, HINDALCO is down about 6%, Vedanta is down about 4%. So that, of course, is going to be the other space to focus on this morning. GNFC is, of course, up about 7%, and Delta Corp is up 4%. Balrampur Chini up 2%. Prakash, your thoughts on the stock and, in fact, the sugar sector?
No, I think Balrampur Chini, there will be a lot of short covering because it's part of the 46 stocks that go out by the month of June. So I think people would not want to wait for those May and June series to start off. A lot of shorts will get covered very quickly in Balrampur, is my sense, and then that's probably one of the reasons why it's kind of seeing this. Delta, I've already expressed, it's very positive. GNFC, I would be slightly cautious in terms of buying at these levels. All the good part of the TDI salience is actually into the numbers. So, unless there's a very clear indication this would continue for a much longer time, I think it's kind of well priced.
Okay. Well, Santosh Singh has also joined us. Santosh, first up, I wanted to ask you about Ujjivan. With Sudha Suresh resigning, although the note said personal reasons, the stock, of course, this is a pre-market rate, it's starting a little lower. Do you track that stock, and is this a point of bother?
We don't have a formal coverage on the stock, so I don't think...
Okay, you have anything to say?
Okay. What about something like Bharat Financial, Santosh? I mean, very good numbers, highest growth ever in terms of disbursements. Do you like that name?
We have always liked that name, clearly. And one of the reasons why we have liked it, because we have never had a problem with MFI NPLs. MFI NPLs have always been because of external problems. And whenever they have resolved themselves, the companies and the likes of Bharat Financial, who have got a really differentiated business model, they have bounced back quite well. So this quarter was again, in that way, just a reiteration of the fact. So growth was very high, collection efficiencies are back. At the same point in time, as of today, this is a stock where you can't have a buy or a sell based on Bharat Financial number, because it's now linked with India, so IndusInd number. So it's quite linked with that. But it's going to be positive for IndusInd more than Bharat Financial.
Okay. Well, Santosh, Cholamandalam showed 54% rise in disbursements. Indiabulls Housing, another space altogether, housing finance, showed about, I think, 34% rise in loans. What's your pecking order in terms of NBFCs that you like?
So definitely at this point in time, it's vehicle financing. We are not bullish on housing finance. Okay. Vehicle financing is a space which we like. And the reason is simple, that the vehicle finance has come from a cyclical downturn. So if you look at from 2011-12 to 2016, it was almost like the number of vehicles sold in India were lower than what it was in 2011-12. So now we are seeing some sharp improvement in number of vehicles sold, and that is what is visible in these financial numbers. Specifically to Chola, they had a different problem also, that was on the home equity segment, which is getting resolved. And then the other part is clearly that 90-day provisioning was a problem till last year. So these guys are moving from 180 to 90 days. So every quarter you could see higher NPLs because they were moving to a lower. But now that overhang is also gone. So multiple things are playing at one go. So that's why vehicle is one part we like. housing, we still see the NIMs declining because I don't think the 120 basis point increase in your treasury is going to be really good for the housing financiers.
Okay, all right. So we leave it at that, Santosh. Thanks a lot for joining us. By the way, the other one to look at this morning is Thomas Cook. Once again, it's gaining up almost about 6.5% after approving that restructuring. Remember, Thomas Cook will be consolidating the HR services business into Quest Corp. So that stock is up 6%. Prakash, if we still have Prakash Diwan with us, Prakash, how would you approach this name now, Thomas Cook?
I think Thomas Cook is doing the right things as the management had shared a couple of quarters back. The roadmap was very clear, get more focus onto the India business and the travel business as well. And, you know, the sum of parts, again, in this case, really adds up a lot of delta in terms of valuation. So my sense, and then if you recall, Sonia, in the month of February, when we saw a lot of sell-off from the mid-cap side, this was one name that really didn't lose much ground. And that's because it's always been held by people who have a very clear faith in the company's, you know, restructuring that's in the offing. And this is definitely one of the key triggers to that particular move. So I'm quite positive on the Quest Corp business as well as Thomas Cook in the consolidated form. So a very, very positive move. And this will continue to be probably attracting much more interest from a lot of shareholders yet.
Okay, a lot of commodity news, of course, is getting factored in negatively. Hindalco, Vedanta are down 4% and 7%. Tata Steel is down 2%. BP, HP are starting about 0.5% lower. But let's see if this is how things will pan out. On that note, let's get more commodity cues in. Our commodities editor, Manisha Gupta, has just joined us. Morning, Manisha.
Morning, Lata, and thank you so much for that. Starting with the metal space first, and while we have seen 6 to 8% decline come in for nickel and aluminum overnight, we have started Asia yet again on a weaker note. So if you look at Shanghai and LME trading right now, we are down between 1 to 2% on both of these exchanges. It is about the US opening a longer time window until October for the companies to wind down businesses with Rusal is what has led to these prices going in for a very sharp profit taking. But the decline in aluminum and nickel also has worked its way onto other metals. So whether it is steel or zinc or lead, everything seems to be trading down by nearly 2 to 2.5%. Remember, it has been the last couple of weeks where we have seen very strong gains in most of these metals on the premium in sense of supply concerns, but that really seems to be going away. The long positions or the speculative longs were at near record highs, and that has made the metals even more vulnerable, and you have seen that decline coming on back of that. But the crude oil prices, keep an eye on that one as well, because we are holding around $75 per barrel, and there are elections in Venezuela and Iraq in the month of May. You also are looking at the geopolitical premium continue to build up. The demand estimates are quite on the stronger side, and all the reports that have been coming in, whether it's from Merrill Lynch or Goldman Sachs or Barclays, they are betting on $80 per barrel. Now, the latest reports do reiterate that you could perhaps be looking at those levels even before OPEC meets for its meeting on 22nd of June. So that's the kind of bullish momentum that the global markets are working with.
Okay, Manisha, thanks a lot for that. Pre-open rates have settled, and 10,578 on the Nifty, 11 points higher on the Bank Nifty, and looks like once again could be a stock-specific day. Ashwini, your thoughts on the index and your 9-10 call?
See, metals are opening 2.5% down on the metal index. So I think it'll be a metal down day. The rest of the things are just basically flat, IT, Nifty, banks, etc. So we'll probably get after the metals on the short side. Vedanta, Hindalco, Tata Steel, everything is opening at least 2% lower. So chances are there will be follow through here.
Okay, importantly, the rupees actually now improved to 66.38. Well, this could be an oversold territory yesterday, or it could be some buying, some buying of dollars by supply of dollars by state-owned banks as well. So we have to wait and see. That's not reacting very negatively, the rupee. And likewise, the bond, after rising to 7.75, the yield has fallen back to 7.73. So, the bond market is so broken that it doesn't need further news. Everything is already in the price, and therefore we've not seen the bond yields react very negatively. My sense, therefore, is that the markets could be in for a positive surprise because there isn't so much negativity that is being reflected by the bond markets. We are coming to that in a bit. This is a CNBC TV18 news break that has been confirmed on the exchanges. Alembic Pharma's Panilav unit gets no 483, no warnings at all from the US Drug Authority. Ekta Batra, who first broke the story for us, is here with the details. Ekta.
Well, positive news which is actually coming in for Alembic, because these two units that are located in Panelav, the API units, are the most critical units when it comes to their API business. So they have been inspected by the US FDA in an inspection which took place from the 16th of April to the 23rd of April, routine inspection, and was issued 0483. So it's business as usual for Alembic, and hence positive news which is coming in for them.
Okay, Ekta, thanks a lot for that. So that's something to keep an eye on. But really, I mean, metals would be the space to focus on. Tata Motors and DVR as well, down quite a bit. Tata Motors DVR, in fact, down about 1.4%. Prakash, on Tata Motors, now what's the approach? You reckon you need to start building positions now at these 52-week lows, or you need to wait for some good numbers from JLR first?
No, I don't think there's any need to wait, because what's happening is the JLR juggernaut keeps on throwing a lot of these variables in terms of different geographies posting different numbers. So you'll never get a stream of one directional, unidirectional kind of a flow on numbers. So I don't think that's the point. What's important now is that the government of India has started looking at a lot of localization effort in terms of the EV components, and is talking about in 3 years going up to as high as 70%, which means a lot of the the BYD kind of businesses that were looking at the utility vehicles in India from China are going to have a little bit of a tougher time, and that could give some breathing space to Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland, and some of the other names which are looking at the EV disruption. So my sense is Tata Motors will probably report a lot of other growth vectors, Anuj, and it's not just going to be, while of course I understand JLR is the big elephant in the room, but it's going to be a lot of other businesses also which will contribute. So I would definitely recommend a buy on Tata Motors. I've been very bullish on it in spite of weakness in numbers, quarterly numbers and all. But you'll probably start seeing that improvement, and it'll be probably rapid enough. In the
20 seconds to go, so let me quickly take Ashwini's 9-10 call. Ashwini?
See, Oro Pharma can be bought today. That's a buy with a stop of 636, target of 660. But the priority is now on metals.
Okay, yes, starting with a 7% downtick, Hindalco and NALCO, 6.5 to be precise. So let's see if that's what holds